Will the House please come to order and members kindly take their seats? Good afternoon. The devotional today will be led by Maddie Messier, who is a sophomore at BFA St. Albans, a violinist and a member of the Vermont Youth Orchestra. Members, we have 23 bills for introduction today. With that, member from St. Albans Town, can you please offer us a motion to suspend our rules to introduce bills by number only?
Madam Speaker, I make a motion to suspend our rules and introduce bills by number only.
The member from St. Albans Town moves that we suspend our rules to introduce bills by number only. Are you ready for the question? If so, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. All those opposed, please say nay. The ayes appear to have it. The ayes do have it, and you have suspended our rules to introduce bills by number only. Please listen to the first reading of bills by number only.
H-191.
To corrections and institutions.
H-192.
To human services.
H-193.
To judiciary.
H-194.
To education.
H-195.
To human services.
H-196.
To energy and digital infrastructure.
H-197.
To human services.
H-198.
To education.
H-199.
To education.
H-200.
To judiciary.
H-201.
To general and housing.
H-202.
To healthcare.
H-203.
To healthcare.
H-204.
To environment.
H-205.
To commerce and economic development.
H-206.
To commerce and economic development.
H-207.
To healthcare.
H-208.
To commerce and economic development.
H-209.
To education.
H-210.
To commerce and economic development.
H-211.
To commerce and economic development.
H-212.
To commerce and economic development.
And H-213.
To judiciary. Members, we also have a Senate bill for referral this afternoon. Senate Bill 9 is an act relating to after-hours access to orders against sexual assault introduced by Senator Hardy and others. Please listen to the first reading of the bill.
S9, an act relating to after-hours access to orders against sexual assault.
Now, the bill has been read the first time and is referred to the Committee on Judiciary. Members, earlier today, the Committee on Human Services voted out House Bill 13, which is an act relating to Medicaid payment rates for home and community-based service providers and designated specialized service agencies. Carrying an appropriation, the bill is referred to the Committee on Appropriations pursuant to House Rule 35A, pending its entry on the notice calendar. We now have a joint House resolution to take up at this time. JRH2 is a joint resolution urging President Trump to refrain from imposing tariffs on goods and services imported from Canada, offered by Representative Page of Newport City and others. Please listen to the reading of the resolution by title only.
JRH2, joint resolution urging President Trump to refrain from imposing tariffs on goods and services imported from Canada.
Now you have heard the reading of the resolution, and the same is treated as a bill and referred to the Committee on Commerce and Economic Development pursuant to House Rule 52. Members, we have several joint Senate resolutions to take up at this time. The first is JRS 11, which is a joint resolution relating to weekend adjournment on February 14th, 2025. It was offered by Senator Baruth and was read and adopted on the part of the Senate. Please listen to the reading of the resolution.
Resolved by the Senate and House of Representatives that when the two houses adjourn on Friday, February 14th, 2025, it be to meet again no later than Tuesday, February 18th, 2025.
Now you have heard the reading of the resolution, and the question is, shall the House adopt the resolution in concurrence? Are you ready for the question? If so, all those in favor, please say aye. All those opposed, please say nay. The ayes appear to have it. The ayes do have it, and the resolution is adopted in concurrence. Next is JRS 12, which is a joint resolution providing for the election of a sergeant at arms and 3 trustees of the University of Vermont and State Agricultural College. It was offered by Senator Baruth and was read and adopted on the part of the Senate. Please listen to the reading of the resolution by title only.
JRS 12, joint resolution providing for the election of a sergeant at arms and 3 trustees of the University of Vermont and State Agricultural College.
Now you have heard the reading of the resolution, and it is placed on the calendar for action on the next legislative day pursuant to House Rule 52. And finally, JRS 13 is a joint resolution establishing a procedure for the conduct of the election of the University of Vermont and State Agricultural College trustees by plurality vote by the General Assembly in 2025. It was offered by Senator Baruth and was read and adopted on the part of the Senate. Please listen to the reading of the resolution by title only.
JRS 13, joint resolution establishing a procedure for the conduct of the election of the University of Vermont and State Agricultural College trustees by plurality vote by the General Assembly in 2025.
Now you've heard the reading of the resolution and is placed on the calendar for action on the next legislative day pursuant to House Rule 52. Members, we received requests to read 2 House concurrent resolutions that the House and Senate adopted pursuant to the consent calendar. The first is HCR 22, which is a House concurrent resolution designating February 12, 2025 as Farm to School and Child Awareness Day at the State House. Please listen to the reading of the resolution.
Whereas 2007 Acts and Resolves number 24 established the Rosso McLaughlin Farm to School program to award local grants for the purpose of helping Vermont schools develop relationships with local farmers and producers. And whereas the Rosso McLaughlin Farm to School and Early Childhood Grant Program enables early childhood, elementary, and secondary students to eat healthy foods, and it establishes partnerships between Vermont's farmers and local schools that contribute to the economic sustainability of the Vermont agricultural community. And whereas the Vermont Farm to School and Early Childhood Network reports that 89% of the state schools purchase locally produced food, 50% of early childhood programs serve locally produced food at least once a week, and over 100 farms are selling their produce to schools and early childhood programs. And whereas the U.S. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention has documented that most school children receive half their daily calories from school meals. And whereas pursuant to 16 VSA 1264A 1A, all students in Vermont are eligible for universal school meals. And 16 VSA 1264A codified the Local Food Incentive Grant Program, which serves as a direct financial incentive to school districts and supervisory unions that meet local purchasing targets in their school meal programs. And whereas Farm to School exposes students to careers in agriculture and food systems, enabling them to envision a personal future in Vermont. And whereas Rosso McLaughlin Farm to School program participants are speaking with legislators today to share their program's personal importance for them. and the value of the corresponding farm to early childhood program for their younger siblings. Now therefore be it resolved by the Senate and House of Representatives that the General Assembly designates February 12th, 2025 as Farm to School and Childhood Awareness Day at the State House. And be it further resolved that the Secretary of State be directed to send a copy of this resolution to the Vermont Farm to School and Early Childhood Network.
Next is HCR 24, which is a House concurrent resolution designating February 12th, 2025 as Vermont Outdoor Recreation Day at the State House. Please listen to the reading of the resolution.
Whereas Vermont is proud of its unparalleled and diverse natural landscape, and it is a global destination for many types of world-class outdoor recreation. And whereas our state's outdoor recreational assets consist of over 8,000 miles of public access trails, including 150 miles of recreational rail trails, 360,000 acres of wildlife management areas, state forests and state parks, more than 6 million acres of hunting accessible land, and over 40 alpine and cross-country ski areas. And whereas in 2012, Acts and Resolves number 77, the General Assembly designated skiing and snowboarding as the state's official winter sports. And whereas the importance of welcoming everyone, regardless of ethnicity or background, to enjoy outdoor recreational pursuits is recognized, and outdoor recreational venues embrace the intrinsic community values of inclusion and representation. And whereas outdoor recreation creates business opportunities, attracts new residents, and offers workforce pathways that incentivize young Vermonters to remain in the state. And whereas, according to the U.S. Bureau of Economic Analysis, in fiscal year 2023, in businesses located in all 14 Vermont counties, outdoor recreation generates $2.1 billion in economic import, and the industry employed over 16,000 persons, comprising just over 5% of the Vermont workforce. And whereas Vermont Outdoor Recreation Day is an occasion to celebrate the importance of outdoor recreation to the economy, quality of life, and the mental and physical well-being of Vermonters and visitors, now therefore be it resolved by the Senate and House of Representatives that the General Assembly designates February 12th, 2025 as a Vermont Outdoor Recreation Day at the State House. And be it further resolved that the Secretary of State be directed to send a copy of this resolution to the Secretary of Commerce and Community Development, the Secretary of Natural Resources, the Commissioner of Forests, Parks and Recreation, the Commissioner of Tourism and Marketing, the Executive Director of the Vermont Outdoor Business Alliance, the Executive Director of the Vermont Mountain Bike Association, and the President of the Vermont Ski Areas Association.
Are there any announcements? Member from St. Albans Town.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I have the privilege to welcome two constituents from my district here to the State House today. And Madam Speaker, I'd like to introduce to you and the body the young lady who played the devotional, Madeline Messier. She is a sophomore at BFA, a member of the Vermont Youth Orchestra. She has participated in the All New England Orchestra and the Vermont All-State Scholarship Program, among other competitions. She comes from an incredibly talented musical family. She's here today with her father, Armand Messier, and he is the piano and choral director at BFA St. Albans. And her mother, Giovanna, is the violinist and the music teacher at Swanton Elementary. Please give them a really warm welcome. They have a lot of talent, and we thoroughly enjoyed that devotional. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Will the guest of the member from St. Albans Town please rise and be recognized? Are there any further announcements? Member from Brattleboro.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I have a guest today here. Johnny Gifford is the Executive Director of Brattleboro Community TV, our wonderful local TV station. They are in full swing, preparing to record and broadcast candidate debates and forums, town meetings, Harris Hill Ski Jump, which is happening this weekend, if you want to come, and many other events. They're also building a podcast studio and offering many things to our community. Johnny is here with a group from the Vermont Association of Broadcasters, which you may have received an invitation. They're having a reception at the Capitol Plaza at 4:30, and the Vermont Association of Broadcasters is working to support the implementation of Act 133 to help us with our open meeting law, a new open meeting law, and finding support for the state's municipalities and school boards to convey accessible, transparent information through providing hybrid access to meetings while recording and archiving them. So there may be Johnny is here, there may be other members of the Broadcasters Association. Please welcome them.
Will the guest of the member from Brattleboro please rise and be recognized? Member from Westminster.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I rise in recognition of Farm to School and Early Childhood Awareness Day. Outside of my role as a legislator, I work with high school students exploring local food and Vermont food systems. Farm to School programs connect students with curriculum, the cafeteria, and the community through relationships with local food and local farmers. Please welcome advocates for Farm to School and Early Childhood Awareness Day at the State House. They were seated in the balcony. I think they might have left about 30 seconds ago, but let's clap for them anyway.
Will the guest of the member from Westminster, if you're still here, please rise and be recognized. Are there any further announcements? Member from Rutland City.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Tonight is the final of 3 dinners from the VSCA. They are located at 155 State Street. Dinner will begin at 5:15 at their headquarters, and it is going to be a delicious lasagna dinner. This is a chance to share work issues with legislators and VSCA members from around the state. Tonight's topic will be reference-based healthcare pricing. Everyone is welcome. So you can come and have dinner and then come to the VSO concert. Thank you.
Member from Bradford.
Madam Speaker, I am happy to announce that today is the Vermont Creative Network's Creative Sector Day in the legislature. Vermont Creative Sector is made up of all of the businesses, nonprofits, and individuals whose work is rooted in creativity, which is in a creative state like Vermont, is a huge group of talented people working to make our state better for all of us. From museums to musicians, from architect firms to libraries, from graphic designers to filmmakers, and so much more. The creative sector strengthens our communities, brings people together, and builds our economy. In 2022, arts and culture was a nearly $1.2 billion industry in Vermont, and 93% of the respondents to the Vermonter poll agreed or strongly agreed that opportunities to view and participate in the arts and culture are an important part of thriving and healthy communities. During these challenging and uncertain times, coming together around an industry that supports us as humans, connects us as communities, and strengthens our economy is ever more vital. They are inviting us to join them for a reception in the Cedar Creek Room featuring performers from Circus Smirkus. Coffee and cookies will be provided. Madam Speaker, can the body please help me welcome the Vermont Creative Network and their members to the building today, many of whom are in the balcony.
Will the guest of the member from Bradford please rise and be recognized? Are there any further announcements? Member from Guilford.
Yes, Madam Speaker, I rise now following these wonderful announcements about arts and culture in our state to remind everyone that this evening, the Vermont Symphony Orchestra will be performing right here in our chamber. 7:30, plan to come.
Member from Waitsfield.
Madam Speaker, we recognize today as Vermont Outdoor Recreation Day at the State House. Vermont's outdoor recreation sector preserves and celebrates what is arguably Vermont's greatest asset, the land. The majesty of Vermont's mountains, rivers, lakes, and streams is a large part of what makes Vermont so special. Our outdoor recreation industry is what, in many cases, enables us to enjoy Vermont's unique landscape through activities such as alpine skiing, Nordic skiing, snowshoeing, mountain biking, road cycling, fishing, hiking, and golf. These recreational pursuits are also part of what attracts visitors to Vermont, many of whom become guests in our bed and breakfasts and inns, patrons of our fine restaurants, shoppers at our grocery and retail stores. Some of these visitors fall in love with Vermont and move here, raising families, working for local businesses, and contributing to Vermont's unique social fabric. Vermont's outdoor recreation sector is a vital economic engine for our state and a protector of our sacred natural resources. Madam Speaker, Representative Torre and I ask that you join us in welcoming all the representatives of the Vermont outdoor recreation sector to the State House today and thanking them for the work they do.
Will the guest of the member from Waitsfield please rise and be recognized? Member from Cornwall.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. A reminder and a little bit of, excuse me, a correction. Tonight's lecture series, Using Public Funds for Religious Schools, Carson v. Macon, put on by the League of Women Voters, is tonight at 7. I've previously announced that it's at our local library here in Montpelier. It is not, it is a virtual panel, so you can watch it from the comfort of your home in your pajamas. Anyway, I have sent around to all House members the link to register if you'd like to attend this panel discussion. It's available in your email now. Thank you.
Are there any further announcements? Member from Pollitt.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. The Fish and Wildlife Department wanted me to let all the members know that they're invited to the West Branch Nature Center this afternoon to visit with them regarding their outreach program and meet some folks in their department who also manage and caretake our wildlife resource. There will be a shuttle bus on Baldwin Street at 4:30 to shuttle members to and from the event. Thank you.
Are there any further announcements? Member from Dover.
Madam Speaker, I know many of the members are benefiting from our incredible UVM interns this year. I'd like to ask the body to recognize and welcome the two that are working with me, seated in the balcony, Maddie Cronin and Liv Goebel.
Would the guest of the member from Dover please rise and be recognized? Are there any further announcements? Seeing none, orders of the day. Members, we have one bill on our action calendar today. House Bill 41 is an act relating to creating a felony penalty for abuse of a corpse. The bill was referred to the Committee on Judiciary, which recommends that the bill be amended as printed in today's calendar. The member from West Rutland, Representative Burdett, will speak for the committee. Please listen to the second reading of the bill.
H41, an act relating to creating a felony penalty for abuse of a corpse.
Member from West Rutland.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, through the years, I don't know how I end up with these emotional bills, but I got another one. And I'm going to do my best to put on my talking head face to do this. But last July, up in Enosburg, Roberta Martin, 82 years old, was murdered. And that's how this bill came about. A couple of weeks ago, Roberta's daughter, and I'm going to mention names if somebody wants to call point of order, have at it. Pamela Martin Harris came in and testified about the murder of her mother for about 20-25 minutes on Zoom. Pamela's down in Florida. And the detail she went into of what she went through, what her family went through, what her neighbors went through, what the whole town of Enosburg went through was just amazing. I've never heard anything like it. I've done a number of internet crimes against children bills on the floor through the years, which were special to me in a way, but not easy to do. And this just blows them away. So just imagine an 82-year-old woman. As Pamela calls her, she's a ticket. She was a ticket. Probably not your typical 82-year-old woman. Walked every day, did yoga, lived in Vermont in the summer, but went down to Florida with her daughter in the winter, and wasn't ready to leave Vermont yet. Her roots were here, had always been here, and this was where she was going to stay as long as she could. They talked every day, most days, several times a day, and definitely every night to say goodnight. I don't remember the exact date in July of last year, but Pamela called her mother at night to say goodnight, and she didn't answer. And that was really unusual. And she knew something was up. She just felt something was up. So she called the neighbor. A neighbor went over. The door was open. The air conditioner was pushed in, and her mother wasn't there. And I believe it was 4 days that she was missing before her body was found. Her body was found in a hole underneath a large oak tree that had uprooted, and it was burned beyond recognition. And when they finally found it, the state police called Pamela and asked her if her mother's feet had any distinctive markings. And that's because that's all that could be identified was her feet at that point. And they did. She had had operations on her feet, and that's how they identified, I should say foot, because one leg was dismembered. And this came from Pamela, that it was probably by an animal that dismembered the leg. So they identified the body. At some point, Pamela came up, and how I ended up with this bill down in West Rutland is interesting, because some friends of mine that I actually got a bill passed for them a number of years ago. The wife went to school with Pamela, went to high school with her, and to this day they're friends. And so she called me, and that's how I got involved. At that point, I'd called the member from Enosburg to make sure he was on board with it, and also called the senator up there, because I'm not into stepping on toes. But so as it turned out, it wasn't a felony to move and deface a body, which to me is pretty incredible. And that's where we started. And I know Pamela's hope, the family's hope, people in the area up there, the friends, their big hope is just to get a little piece of justice for Roberta. And again, I hope that's what this bill does, is just get a little something. And this was by far the Reader's Digest version of what we heard. There wasn't a dry eye in the committee. It was just incredible. The detail, the emotions, the feelings, the love that was expressed that day. But from there, I'm going to go right into the bill summary. It can be found on page 47 of today's calendar. And before the chamber is the House Judiciary Strike-All Amendment to H41, entitled "An Act Relating to Creating a Felony Penalty for Abuse of a Corpse." As the title indicates, this bill criminalizes and makes a felony the abuse of the dead body of a person. Generally speaking, this new statute prohibits a person from engaging in various types of conduct that constitutes abuse of a corpse. Specifically, it prohibits a person from burning, mutilating, disfiguring, dismembering, or destroying a dead body. This bill also creates an enhanced penalty when this conduct is committed with the intent to conceal a crime or to avoid apprehension, prosecution, or conviction of a crime. Turning to the bill language itself, Section 1 of the bill creates a new statute, 13 VSA 3761A, that memorializes the prohibition of the conduct I just mentioned. And this is what I'm going to read next is a very important part of the bill, but it's the knowingly part. Subsection A states that no person shall knowingly, without legal authorization, intentionally burn, mutilate, disfigure, dismember, or destroy the dead body of a person. Thus, this language criminalizes someone who knows that they don't have legal authorization, which can mean that the person knows that they needed and do not have a burial permit, or knows that they aren't a doctor authorized to conduct an autopsy and has specific objective to burn, mutilate, or otherwise destroy a body. A person who violates subsection A is subject to the penalty outlined in subsection C1, which carries a potential term of imprisonment of not more than 5 years, a fine of not more than $5,000, or both. Looking at subsection B, it prohibits the same conduct as A, but also includes a prohibition on burying, transporting, hiding, or concealing the dead body, in addition to a prohibition against sexual conduct committed upon the dead body of a person. These actions, in addition to those mentioned in A, if done with specific and conscious objective to conceal a crime, or with the goal to avoid apprehension, prosecution, or conviction of a crime, subjects the person to an enhanced felony penalty contained in subsection C2, which imposes a term of imprisonment of not more than 15 years, a fine of not more than $10,000, or both. Subsection D lists various definitions applicable to the new statute. For instance, dead body of a person does not include a person's cremated remains, and sexual conduct is defined in subsection D2, which is derived in part from the definition of sexual conduct as used in the child exploitation laws. Section 2 of the bill amends 18 VSA 5211, which concerns the unauthorized burial or removal of the dead body of a person. This public health statute currently carries a felony penalty of up to 5 years in prison for a person who buries, entombs, transport, or removes the dead body of a person without a burial transit permit. The House Judiciary Committee amended this section to strike the 5-year term of imprisonment, but keep the $1,000 fine as the sole penalty for such conduct. Finally, Section 3 states that the bill will go into effect on July 1st, 2024, and if passes, the bill will be renamed an act relating to the abuse of the dead body of a person. And the reason we're changing the name is the dead body of a person is already in statute and has passed muster in some case law. But the witnesses we had, daughter of Roberta Martin, legislative attorney, Vermont Department of State's Attorneys and Sheriffs, Legislative Counsel, Office of Legislative Counsel, Deputy Defender General and Chief Juvenile Defender, Defender General's Office, Chief Superior Judge, Vermont Judiciary. And Madam Speaker, this is probably the strongest 11-0-0 vote I've seen in my 15 years in the building. Thank you.
The question is, shall the bill be amended as recommended by the Committee on Judiciary? Are you ready for the question? If so, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. All those opposed, please say nay. The ayes appear to have it. The ayes do have it, and you have amended the bill. Now the question is, shall the bill be read a third time? Are you ready for that question? If so, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. All of those opposed, please say nay. The ayes appear to have it. The ayes do have it, and third reading is ordered. Members, that completes the orders of the day. Are there any announcements? Seeing none? Member from St. Albans Town, will you please offer us a motion to adjourn until Thursday, February 13th at 3 p.m.?
Madam Speaker, I make a motion, this body stands at adjournment until Thursday, February 13th at 3 p.m.
You have heard the motion. Are you ready for the question? If so, all those in favor, please say aye. All those opposed, please say nay. The ayes appear to have it. The ayes do have it, and this body stands in adjournment